And I am the Dream Decipherer, and I help you to crack the code of your sleep and dreams so you can sleep sound and dream deep. This evening's dreams, or three dreams in one, look at relationships of different kinds, and sometimes our dreams not only reflect the micro world, our world, and what's going on in it, but can reflect the larger world and the people around us, sometimes many people around us. But I'll get right into it. The first of this series of three dreams begins with the dreamer and his two brothers, and in a domestic setting, that whatever that may mean, but we'll get to that later. In a domestic setting with a guy, and they were having a conversation. The gentleman looked at the dreamer's son and guessed that one of the one brother, we'll call T, was the father. He said, "Nope, not me," and introduced his own children. Then the person turns to the other brother, C, and says, "Oh, it must be your son then." And he said, "No," and introduces his sons. So finally, the dreamer identifies himself as the child's father, and introduced his other son. So he introduced his two sons. So that was the first dream. The second little dream takes place at home. This definitely identified as being at home. I assume with his own family, and there were a number of visitors in the house, who they used to, one of them rather, was someone he had actually worked with, a female maintenance surveyor. And all of these people in this house were getting dressed and getting ready for school or for work. Now, this female maintenance surveyor that the dreamer used to work with was, I assume, in the kitchen making some kind of mango smoothie. So that's dream number 2. There is a method to all of this, trust me, but you have to look at these all together, and separately and together. So dream number 3, the dreamer is sitting in a car outside a house, an unidentified house, apparently not his own, waiting to go into the house for an appointment. Is it for a house viewing? Doesn't say. There was a gentleman sitting in a car next to him. I'm assuming that the car is double parked. And the dreamer felt a little bit suspicious of this guy. He couldn't see his face. Eventually, he realized that this gentleman, this was actually the person he was waiting for this appointment. And there ends the 3 dreams. Three relatively short, so to speak, dreams, but full of information as always. And when dreams come in a series or a short period of time, either back to back or within a few days of one another, they usually have something to do with one another. So as we go through it, hopefully we'll find out what the connection between these 3 dreams actually is. But let's look at the first dream. The dreamer was with his 2 brothers in a domestic setting, whatever that may mean. Does that mean he was at home or in one of their homes, or what? But a domestic setting. So I'm assuming in someone's house that they know of, one of the 3 perhaps. Now, there's this confusion over the children and who their fathers are. And you go back to that old expression, mommy's baby, daddy's maybe. And I mean, but there's no question of that here. These men are all claiming their children, but the dreamer's child is his 2 brothers rather than himself, until he finally clarifies and actually introduces both of his sons. Now, the expression that came to me when I first read this was, um, am I my brother's keeper? And that well-known expression from the Bible is that, am I my brother's keeper? Am I responsible for other people and their lives and their business? And in these days of coronavirus, that's a question we all need to be asking ourselves. Am I my brother's or sister's keeper? Now, the in real life, the dreamer had already understood what this dream was about, and it just goes to show our micro lives and macro lives. The dreamer knows that there is some health issues, underlying health issues that make the coronavirus particularly dangerous for, and so that I guess the dream was perhaps expressing that unexpressed sentiment that if something were to happen to any of them, of the three brothers, that the others would step in and make sure that the children were taken care of. So it goes back to that expression, am I my brother's sons keepers? Yes. So it is. And what's interesting about that this was something that the dreamer had already understood, because he understood the connection with what was going on in his waking life. And that's why it's important that when you're looking at your dreams, you have to look at what's going on in your life. And the context of the dream is very much tied to what's happening in our lives, whether we're conscious of that or not. Now, the other thing is that the dream has wider implications. Now, as I said, that there's some health issues involved, concern because of this pandemic of coronavirus. Now, this is something that is preoccupying people to the point where it's turning up in all kinds of ways in people's dreams at the moment, whether because of just general fear or linked to a specific event, person, etc. Now, the other thing about when I say dreams can have implications for other people, this dream actually reminded me of something from my own family, where one of my aunts years ago made the comment that as children, like all of us cousins, looked very much alike. So if we were all out somewhere and somebody apparently calling after a child and wanted to know who the parent was, whichever of either my mother or my aunts were nearby, would just stick up their hand and say mine, because from a distance we all pretty much look alike, though we don't as adults. It's really quite funny. So there's something about families, but also about the Ashanti expression, actually, that says it takes a whole village to raise a child. And that is another thing that came at me when I looked at this dream, that it really, whether you're the brother or you're the cousin or you're the sister or what have you, we're all one tribe. And this coronavirus is proving that we're really all one tribe, however we like to set ourselves up. And that's coming through in our dreams, that we are all one world. So, but let's move on to dream 2 and see what turns up there. And in this dream, it's morning time. The dreamer is at home with his family, and they have visitors, strangers in the house. Now, houses will reflect our inner lives, our house, the house that this body carries. The body is the house, and our inner lives are what we inhabit in this house, the soul, in other words. So there are strangers in this house. Some some of whom, sorry, I can't talk tonight, um, are known to the dreamer. Um, one in particular is a lady. She's a female maintenance surveyor, and she makes smoothies, which I thought was a mango smoothies at that. It's really quite interesting. Now, all of these people, known and unknown in the house, are getting up and getting themselves ready either for school or for work. Now, just as I was sitting here, this song that popped into my head about this, about, it's morning and people are getting ready for a new day. That famous song by Nina Simone, and the refrain, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. And you could think of day and night in that sense of day being our waking life or going about our business, but morning implies a freshness or newness or a new start or a new beginning. So, and then either going to school or to work. So to learn something new or to put into practice what has been learned. In other words, putting it to work. Now, the only person who was actually identified, which was this female maintenance surveyor, is quite interesting because she's making mango smoothies, and the the unconscious, as I always say, is very, very clever. Who is she, first of all? You say it's somebody that you work with. Is that in waking life or in this dream only? Um, First of all, and if she is a person in waking life, what does she evoke for you? Remember, the people in our dreams aren't always themselves. They represent some part of ourselves. So this woman, unknown woman or known woman, making a mango smoothie. And again, the unconscious is very clever. It likes to play, and it uses things like plays on words. And I wonder if this lady is actually the inner female or anima of the dreamer, because this woman, this inner woman, makes life smoothie or smooth. So again, play on words, but this inner person seems to make life smoother. So it might be interesting to investigate who she is and what she represents. But as I suspect from the little byplay there that it's probably the anima, the inner female. Then the other thing is that, and now moving on to dream 3. Now this where things really start to get interesting. The gentleman, the dreamer, has moved out of houses, but is sitting now in a car in front of a house. So it implies and it's not his house, it's a house where he's going for an appointment. Now, whose house is it? That's question number 1. Is he there for a house viewing or some kind? What does that house represent, or has he seen it before? There's something about that house. It's obviously not where he lives, so who lives there? And then sitting in a car, one assumes that he went from his own house to this place, and there's something that's journey seems to have gotten truncated. It's like he went from one place to the other, got trained. So he's sitting in his car, and cars in this sense will represent agency. If it's him driving the car, then he's the one that's in control rather than somebody else driving the car or taking the bus or going on foot rather. So this strange house and a strange person that he's going to meet, he doesn't know who it is. Who is this person that he was going to see? What was the purpose of going to see this person? for this appointment. Now, this car, it sounds like the car was double parked next to the dreamer's car. And the dreamer stated he couldn't see his face. No, and so he felt suspicious, and rightly so. I mean, if somebody's double parked next to you, either they're going to jack you or they might want to shoot you sometimes, quite often these days, unfortunately. So what was it about this person that made you feel suspicious? Is it simply because you couldn't see his face clearly? Because of the position of his car relative to yours? What was what made you feel suspicious? The other thing was that suddenly the dreamer realizes that, oh, this is the person I'm supposed to meet for this appointment. How did you know that? What made you realize that? Is it because you saw the dreamer's face? And if you did, whose face did you see? I just wonder, again, that this may be the dreamer's shadow, and the shadow is usually the same sex as the dreamer, in this case male, and usually represents the unknown, unacknowledged, less developed parts of ourselves, the parts that we need to shine a light on and work on to become a more rounded person as we grow older. And I wonder if that may be the case here, and particularly from the description of how this car was next to the dreamer's car, if they were double parked, so it's like his doppelganger, his double image, in a way, something to think about. So there you have it. Those are 3 dreamlets, and what I think what connects them is the houses. Obviously, there's houses in all 3 dreams. There's a house that a house that the dreamer's in, an unknown house, then the dreamer's own house, and then again, a new house that the dreamer doesn't know, and he sits outside waiting to get in. There's some kind of progression of sorts going on here, but from one state to another, from an old home, an old way of thinking, of being perhaps, to a new way of thinking and being. And that's something perhaps that is indicated by this series of dreams, and something for the dreamer to actually take a look at. So there you have it. There's, as I said, 3 very interesting little dreams, and I'm going to finish this off by issuing a call. I am writing my next book on dreams, and I really, really would like to have your dreams. Of course, all dreams would be kept, your identity rather would be kept anonymous, and pertinent details changed to protect that. But I need input. I need dreams. I mean, I dream, yes, but not enough to write a book within the next few months. So if you have a dream that you'd like to have analyzed, get in contact with me. You can book a free slip into sleep session and present your dream. I'll be able to give you some tips, as well as a flower essence blend made just for you, and in return for your dream, and use that in my new book. So if you'd like more information, and I'll be talking about this more in the days to come, but if you'd like to be included in my new book on dreams, get in contact. Either leave a comment, drop me a message in Messenger, or you can book an appointment right away at www.meetingwithsheila.com. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a great evening and rest of the week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.